Okay, so the very first topic that I want to talk about in this recording is something what programmers call computer programming paradigm. So you think of a paradigm as a specific way of doing things. So that is how we generally interpret or understand the word paradigm. Again, a paradigm simply means a specific way or certain way of doing things or of adopting things or of reacting to things. Okay, so the definition written on, you can read on your screens right now, says that a computer programming paradigm is a way of doing computer programming. So it is a specific style, specific way of doing computer programming. Among the many paradigms, common types of computer programming paradigms are procedural and object oriented. Now, the kind of programming paradigm that you have adopted last semester is actually procedural computer programming. Remember that what we did is an approach of what they call top to bottom approach. Now, this approach will, uh, the approach top to bottom approach showed you to write a program from the very beginning portion of the program up to the end, and I mean the flow of the program. It's identical to saying sequential. There is a specific sequence in running your program or in structuring your program. Okay, so for beginners like you, that is how we can settle from this explanation for now, since in your case you are still beginning to learn and to master computer programming. In this semester, you will learn another type of doing or of programming, and we call it object oriented. Later, I will explain and provide more discussions about object oriented programming as a paradigm and about procedural programming as a paradigm. Okay. To use an analogy for us to be able to understand the meaning of paradigms, think of governments. So governments have different kind of quote unquote paradigms. Okay? If I am not mistaken, China follows communism, while USA follows federalism. Okay? And there are governments out there that are that preserve monarchs, I mean. So Denmark, for example, they have a queen. England as well, they have a queen. In fact, Spain also has a queen. And they have prime ministers. Okay, so governments also are of different paradigms, if we can use the term in this manner, just so we can better understand what a paradigm means. Okay. So in other words, a programming paradigm tells the very way to write programs. Okay, so ang communism, sa mga nasod nga nag-follow og communism, malamang lahi ilahang pamalakad sa ilahang government dito. Whereas ang federalism, lahi po ang ilang pamalakad. Okay, so lahi ilahang pag-establish sa mga balaod, although the laws are, especially human rights related na mga balaod, are universal man na siya. Okay? Ang Thailand, dapat sila king. Okay? So, mura siya ginana iyahang analogy when we think of paradigm. So again, a paradigm is simply a way of doing programming, doing computer programming. Okay? All right, so on your screen right now is a comparison, a very basic comparison of structured programming and object-oriented programming. So aron dili maglibog, structured and procedural are quite the same. So we can use them interchangeably. We can use them as synonyms. So structured programming follows what we call procedural paradigm. Okay, the old paradigm, the old way of doing computer programming. Back in my college days, most of the schools are still following structured programming. Again, most of the schools are still following structured programming way of writing computer programs. A programming paradigm, kumbaga. Whereas right now, most of the in the academe, when schools offer degrees like BSIT, BScs, and etc., when they teach programming, most of the schools, because that is the safe way of saying it, because I'm not really sure, but mostly what we follow is object-oriented paradigm. Okay, and you will learn more about paradigm at the later part of our discussion. Okay, so that means back in the days, back when I was still in high school, I learned about Pascal programming language. So it's still a programming language, except that Pascal programming language actually follows procedural paradigm. It doesn't follow object-oriented paradigm. When I was still in college, I also learned something they call C programming language. C programming language also follows procedural paradigm. We can also say that C programming language and Pascal programming language are both structured programming languages. Okay, so whereas for OOP or object-oriented programming, which obviously follows object-oriented paradigm, some of the examples include Java and C Sharp. So in terms of dominance, Java and C Sharp are two popular object-oriented programming languages.